Welcome to Firestop Feed, the Pyrophobic podcast about passive fire safety solutions.
When you think about the future of transport, things like rapid delivery, sophisticated mapping, unmanned aircraft systems, or UAS, they're right at the heart of it.
They are.
But these systems, they have this massive challenge, and it's right in their power source, the lithium-ion battery.
And it's not just a challenge of, weight or how long the battery lasts. It's really about safety.
Right.
I mean, when you're operating these high-stakes assets, you have to confront the single biggest threat to any lithium-ion battery, and that's thermal runaway.
Okay, we've all heard that term thrown around, but for anyone who might be new to this, it needs a proper kind of unsettling definition. What actually happens?
It's the ultimate cascading failure. It's a runaway thermal event that kicks off when just one cell overheats.
Just one.
Just one. And once it's triggered, that heat is released so violently that it instantly cooks the cells right next to it. And that starts a chain reaction, a catastrophic propagation that just engulfs the entire battery pack. You're talking total destruction, fire, sometimes explosions. If you're flying a UAS, stopping that is, it's everything.
Which is why our mission today is to do a deep dive into this really targeted collaborative project to engineer a passive defense against exactly that failure. We're focusing on a specialized intumescent safety technology called LithiumPrevent from Pyrophobic Systems, and the intense validation it went through in a big FAA-funded project.
Yeah, and this is a perfect case study of how material science is being used to solve a huge regulatory and safety problem in aviation.
Okay, let's unpack this.
So the whole thing really came out of necessity. The FAA saw this growing risk, and that led directly to this initiative.
This specific project.
Exactly. The program we're digging into is formally documented as DOTFATC 2032.
Okay, so that code tells you this isn't just some internal company research?
Not at all. That code means this was a highly rigorous government-backed effort to study and develop solutions to fundamentally lower the risks of these batteries on aircraft.
So it's got that anchor of credibility. What was the specific design goal they set out with?
The goal was pretty simple on the surface, but incredibly difficult in practice.
Yeah.
They wanted to prove that a specially designed battery module could stop thermal runaway from propagating.
Stop the chain reaction.
Stop the chain reaction.
Yeah.
Even when they intentionally triggered the failure between just two standard cylindrical cells. So we're talking about containment at the absolute minimum unit level.
And for a breakthrough like that, you need a real who's who of expertise. This wasn't just Pyrophobic working alone in a lab.
No, it was a genuine ecosystem.
Yeah.
So you had Pyrophobic Systems, of course, providing the core lithium-prevent technology.
The material itself.
Right. Then you had DNVGL, the global assurance firm, brought in to do all the incredibly detailed testing and verification. Nexeris provided the specific sensor tech for early gas detection. And then, of course, the FAA was there with the funding and the oversight, making sure everything met federal safety standards.
So let's talk about the material they brought to the table, LithiumPrevent. The sources describe it as both a pioneering intumescent technology and a passive thermal containment technology. That word intumescent feels pretty critical here.
It's everything. Intumescent means the material is designed to swell up, to puff up when it's exposed to intense heat. It's a remarkable property.
Okay.
So when that thermal event kicks off, LithiumPrevent reacts instantly and forms this thick, insulating protective char. And because that reaction is, baked into the material itself, it's called passive containment.
It doesn't need power or a computer to tell it to work.
Exactly. No external sensors, no active cooling systems. The material is the safety mechanism.
And that passive versus active distinction, that's absolutely key for something like a UAS, isn't it? You don't want a safety system that can also fail.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the challenge wasn't just creating the material, but making it part of the actual battery architecture. They didn't just line a box with it.
Right.
Pyrophobic actually built the structural components, the cell holder and the lid, directly from LithiumPrevent. And that integration let them engineer a really precise two-pronged approach to defeat the thermal event.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. Let's break down those two functions. They seem meticulously designed. What's the first line of defense?
The first function is thermal separation. So when that one cell fails and starts its runaway, we're talking temperatures over 500 degrees Celsius, the intumescent material around it just deploys rapidly.
It swells up.
It swells. And its main job is to isolate and cool that failing cell. It's about sheer speed and insulating power. If you can keep the temperature of the cell next to it below its own critical threshold, You break the chain.
You stop the cascading failure.
You stop the cascading failure. It's basically a thermally activated miniature fire break that deploys right at the ignition point.
So it's a heat shield. But heat isn't the only problem, right? The cells are literally cooking their insides.
And that brings us to the second and equally critical function. That addresses the explosive part of the event, the pressure. Thermal runaway turns the liquid electrolyte into huge volumes of incredibly hot, high-pressure gas. If that pressure just builds up inside a sealed battery pack, well, you get an explosion.
Which is a whole other kind of risk for an aircraft, completely separate from just the fire.
A huge risk.
Yeah.
So the second function is the safe venting of heated electrolyte. The LithiumPrevent structure isn't just designed to contain heat. It's designed to act as a routing system.
A channel.
A channel, yeah. It mitigates that dangerous pressure buildup by channeling the hot gases safely away from the other cells and out of the pack. This massively reduces the risk of the whole module just blowing apart.
That is brilliant. So you're stopping the adjacent cells from overheating with the thermal barrier.
Right.
While at the same time, the material itself is acting like a pressure release valve to keep the whole thing from failing structurally. A dual-layer defense.
Precisely. You're managing both the thermal input and the mechanical output of the failure. That combined strategy is what makes this tech a potential game changer.
But a great concept has to survive proof, especially with the FAA involved. This wasn't just some bench test. We need to look at the validation program DNVGL ran. How did they structure it to be so thorough?
It was incredibly structured. A very systematic 4-phase process to go from a theory to a validated prototype. They didn't just, jump straight to setting things on fire.
Smart.
They built a foundation first.
So walk us through phase 1.
Okay, phase 1 was the background literature review. So DNVGL's job here was to do a meta-analysis. They synthesized all the existing knowledge on battery safety, performance, industry codes, everything.
So establishing the baseline.
Exactly. It was crucial for defining what safety really required. And it informed the entire design strategy. They had to know what gaps current technology had that LithiumPrevent needed to fill.
Okay. Building the benchmark for success. What about phase 2?
Phase 2 was basic design testing. This was the hands-on, high-risk part. Researchers at DNVGL's facility took commercially available cells and forced them into thermal runaway under controlled conditions.
The fun part.
The fun and very dangerous part. But it provided critical, real-world data on how cells actually behave when they fail, how heat spreads, and importantly, what the limits of the early detection sensors were. It's hard to model a failure until you've seen it up close.
I can only imagine trying to capture data from a literal explosion without, destroying your instruments. That raw data must be invaluable.
Absolutely. And that phase 2 data then became the direct input for phase 3, computational modeling.
Okay.
So they didn't just rush to build new physical prototypes. They used computational fluid dynamics and thermal analysis to digitally refine the module design.
They took the real-world fire and gas data and digitized it. What were they trying to optimize in the modeling phase?
The focus was heavily on flow and thermal management. Remember that second function? Safe venting.
Right, the pressure relief.
Modeling let them simulate the exact dynamics of that gas release, the pressure distribution, how the material swelling up might change things, all before they manufactured the final product. It saves so much time and money.
That is highly sophisticated. So after they perfected the design in the digital world, phase 4 must be the final exam.
Phase 4 was prototype testing. This was it. The definitive test with the actual manufactured LithiumPrevent cell holder prototype. And the tests were rigorous, evaluating off-gas control, heat dissipation, and the ultimate measure, preventing the cascade.
And the result?
The headline result, the one that validated the whole FAA project, was a clear success. The Pyrophobic Systems cell holder successfully prevented cascading thermal runaway. It met the primary goal.
That's the stamp of approval right there. But how successful was it in a measurable way? What happened to the cells next door?
The evidence was really compelling. When they forced a cell into runaway, the healthy cells right next to it only showed a temporary temperature rise.
So they got warm, but didn't cook.
Exactly. The heat spike happened. But that intumescent barrier worked fast enough to block the continuous heat flow. And most critically, there were no adverse effects on the state of charge of those neighboring cells.
They were still perfectly good cells.
They remained completely operational.
Containment. That's successful. But this is where the nuance comes in, and I find this fascinating. The sources pointed out an unexpected interaction between the defense system and the warning system.
Yeah, this is the most interesting part of the whole learning process. So the Nexira sensor was there to give an early warning, right? To detect the initial gases that vent before the really catastrophic thermal event.
Minutes before, sometimes.
Right. And while the sensor did provide detection in some of the tests, the consistency just wasn't there.
So why would the detection system be less reliable if the containment system was working so well?
The researchers have a great theory. They think the very design that made the containment so successful, the channeling and venting capability of the cell holder, was actually the culprit.
Wait, really?
Yeah. The material may have channeled those off gases so efficiently and routed them away so quickly that they weren't consistently building up where the sensor was located. Or maybe they were just diluted too fast to get a solid reading.
That is a true engineering paradox. The passive safety system is so good at its job of managing gas flow that it accidentally makes the active warning system less effective.
Exactly.
It seems like future designs can't treat containment and detection as two separate things anymore.
That's the key takeaway. It doesn't mean the containment failed. It succeeded brilliantly. But it gives a really clear roadmap for the future. It solidifies Pyrophobic's commitment, proves the foundation works, but shows the next generation has to integrate the sensor within that passive channeling system.
So what does this all mean then, if we look back at the scope of this whole FAA project? What's the big takeaway for you?
The biggest thing is that this project is a significant validated leap forward for lithium-ion safety using passive tech. It proves safety doesn't have to be some complex, power-hungry active system. It really shows the profound potential of just engineering smarter materials.
And I've got to imagine the application goes way beyond just drones or UAS.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The success validates this for aviation, for sure, but the concept applies to any system using cylindrical cells. Think high-end power tools, specialized EVs, big industrial energy storage. Anywhere you need rapid thermal separation. The basic physics of a cascading failure, they don't change.
So the focus now shifts from proving it can be done to, what, optimization and integration.
Continuous development, that's the key. Refining the material's deployment speed, optimizing those gas channels, and like we said, integrating sensor tech directly into the next generation of these safety modules. They've proven it's viable. Now it's about building on that success for mass adoption.